months, but you had to marry them right this second. You would tell me, well, that sounds pretty whack. And I would add, you have 8 weeks to know if you really love them. You just got married at first sight. Jason and Asia gonna tell you wrong from right. Are all these couples just disasters waiting to happen? Imagine if one of them could be a perfect match.
That's right. We are here. Perfect match. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason Reed. And if you're watching the YouTube, you notice that someone's missing. That's right. Asia Welch is not here. She has decided that she wants to be the queen of Houston for Rob Has a Podcast. Since Rob Has a Podcast, live show train is showing up in Houston, she needs to be the hostess with the most. She has to get her palatial mansion ready. She has to get the support staff ready, all the rooms clean, so that she can host all the people coming into Houston. So with me today, I have our special pinch hitter, our special guest for this season, Mari Forth. Mari, how's it going?
I'm good. I mean, I am no substitute for the one and only Asia Wealth, of course. I wish I could be in Houston enjoying her luxurious hosting.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the gift bags are probably like off the charts.
Oh my gosh. She's probably giving out like Oculus headsets, like
Yep.
spa vacations. She's giving out all those in her goodie bags.
Just a brick of gold.
Just a random brick out of nowhere that she keeps in her safe. That's in like the third sub basement of the mansion. So yeah, Asia's busy. She decided she didn't want to do this week, so that's fine. But
her digs would have put all of these people to shame.
Yeah, you think MM's penthouse apartment is something? I ain't got nothing on Asia. Well, okay, got nothing on that. But listen, when mom's away, the kids are gonna party. So listen, I am the captain now, right? I can do whatever I want. Like if I want to mess around with the settings here.
Oh God.
If I want to make us in little circles like this, I can do that. Yeah, we're round. Want to like block this up? We can do all types of stuff.
The podcast only people are like, what is happening?
Yeah. If you're not watching the YouTube, you're missing out on me and my control. This is what I can do now, Asia. You wish you were. Listen, I'll keep us like this all podcast if I want to.
Okay? I'm not getting a headache or anything.
What's Asia gonna do? She's not here. I hope she doesn't listen to this because I'm gonna get in major trouble if she finds that I did this. So let me bring it back. What we're supposed to be here. Okay. I don't want to get in trouble. All right.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, we're back. So yeah, we're here. This is a bit like Asia's gonna be sorry she missed this. This is a big episode.
Mm-hmm.
We're back from the honeymoons. We are looking to see who each other's houses look like. We're getting our first expert visit. This is a very, very, very busy episode. Got a lot to go through. So before we do that, we want to get into some housekeeping stuff. I do want to. We got some reviews in last time. We didn't have any reviews to share, but you guys did come through and give us some reviews. We'll just share one this time. We'll let Asia going with the review sharing when she comes back. So the one that I want to read for you all today is from Teezy, T-E-E, bunch of Z's and Y. It's just the title is just five-star emojis. It says, if you're a long-time Matter First Sight fan like me, this podcast is an absolute must listen. It's like sitting down with your funniest, most relatable friends to chat about all the drama, hope, and heartbreak of the show. Asia and Jason are such a fantastic duo. Their dynamic is hilarious, and the way Jason lovingly teases Asia, I don't know about lovingly, but okay, it never gets old. Asia's warmth makes you feel like you've known her forever, and her stories about her dogs are such a delightful bonus. Such a delightful bonus for me is not having to hear those stories this week.
Oh God.
Anyway.
It's playful TV.
They perfectly capture all the thoughts you're having while watching, but they also bring fresh perspectives that make you think. They know exactly when to root for a couple and when to give up hope. And they always strike the perfect balance of humor and heart. Honestly, my week doesn't feel complete until I listen to their podcast. Highly recommend for any MAFS fan. You'll laugh, you'll nod along, and you'll feel right at home. Teezy. Fantastic review. We love that. I love to hear all that. And you talked about me and Asia's dynamic, and then I'm sure Asia saw this and just like, well, F that. I'm gonna do whatever I want to do. So
I don't care what TZ says.
Yeah, sorry, TZ. Asia decided to leave you high and dry this week, but that's fine. We have Mari here, and listen, if this works out well, Mari, I mean,
never
hostile
no,
takeover.
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no, 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 no,
Right.
no, no, never. I have to say, as an on-air review, as somebody who is normally a listener who has the gets the privilege, the opportunity, just the blessing to be able to just step on here every once in a while. The community that you guys have cultivated is uniquely you. It is a community that I love to be a part of. Me and my friends love to be a part of it. It is one of those things where I'm like, if I'm not having a good day, I'm like, let me just go look at the MAFS group, because everybody in there is so caring, so loving, so funny, and just real. And I really think that's a testament to you and Asia truly just cultivating just a place, a safe space for a whole bunch of people. So thank you for that. I know. And thank you for including me. I will never replace Asia. I could never, will never even think of it. And I just want to say thank you for having me on when she isn't here.
No problem. No, I mean, Mari, like keep those chops ready. Survivor 50 just around the corner.
True.
Asia might be gone. Who knows? I love that you shouted out our Facebook community and our Facebook group. And I agree wholeheartedly with you. We said it before, but the group that we have here, there's such a great group because it's not a toxic group. There's not really. We've never had to ban anyone. We've never had to really delete any posts about anything. So it's really an easy group to take care of and to look over, because luckily, knock on wood, we haven't had any problematic. We haven't any problematic issues in that group, and they're all great. They all make posts on their own. We have our own investigative journalists in there. So it's a really fantastic group to be a part of. And as you may know, if you've heard this show before and haven't joined the Facebook group yet, we do have a password every week to help you get into the group. If you haven't joined, come on in, join. It's a lot of fun, as we told you already. The password for this week: why did you abandon us, Asia? That's the password, and please spell it correctly. It's ASIA. That's how you spell it. So I want to make sure when Asia sees these, she knows you're thinking about her and you're asking her, why did you abandon us this week?
You're the person that house sits and gives the house back just completely ruined, huh?
What are you talking about?
Yeah. I got you.
I'm like Alan's dog Luffy. If you leave me home alone, when you come back, everything's gonna be torn up. Don't leave me in the house by myself.
I'm trying not to touch anything. I'm
humping all the couch cushions.
Down.
I'm humping all the cushions around here. You don't want to leave me in the house by myself.
Jason throwing everything around.
Bad things will happen. You're just stuffing all over the place. You don't know what the condition is not the same as you left it. Anyway, let's get into this episode. First up, our first couple that we're going to highlight is MM and Eichi. We start off with my favorite, the wake up. Oh my god! Oh, good morning! Good morning! Well, how was your sleep? Oh, great! Yeah, because
there's a camera here.
There's always a cameraman just here the whole night watching us sleep. But yeah, we get some banter about sides of the bed. Apparently, MM is not acclimating to having a partner in the bed. She sleeps in the middle of the bed, and she has not given that up since getting with Eichi. He complains about the 2 inches of bed that he gets sometimes. She's like,
that was funny.
So sorry. Yeah, that was a nice married couple banter there. It's banter still that me and my wife, after more than 10 years, we still have that issue, that problem. Who gets what side and how much room you get on that side. The divide is not even. Let's just say that.
We managed to get a king bed, and it just does not matter. It
doesn't
matter.
So this is the episode where everyone's going to see each other's houses. So we get a little bit of talk about that. We get a little preview of how Eichi is going to be this whole episode. He tells her, "Listen, I hope you're ready to see my house, because I hope you don't think I'm down bad when you see my house. I live a meager lifestyle." Get that word meager. Get that word meager into your minds, ladies and gentlemen, because you're going to hear it a lot more this episode. He says, hope you don't think I'm down bad because I'm living kind of meager. So that's just like a little preview of what you're going to see.
It was so weird because I'm like, okay, like, are you joking? Are you not joking? Is this like some passive aggressiveness? Is this like you're trying to really, really, really lower her expectations so that when she steps in, it's like, oh, it's not that bad. That's what I thought he was going for, but it was really weird to me, kind of
Yeah,
like he was harping on it a lot.
a lot.
And yeah, and I was like, is
Yeah,
this ego? Is this like not ego, or is he trying to play it off ego? Like,
I think it's
I'm
either.
kind of confused.
This is insecurity already setting in
Okay.
before anything else happens, because I
Right.
think probably throughout their conversations they've already had,
Mhm.
he's going in with a, with the expectation of like, oh, she's gonna blow me out of the water in terms of our living
Right.
arrangements, our
Yeah.
lifestyle. And like, so the next scene we get is them approaching his place. And before they even set foot, they're in the hallway of the
Yeah.
apartment complex. He's like, listen, I want you to set your expectations low because I don't live an extravagant lifestyle. So we come in,
Mhm.
and honestly, if he hadn't beat her expectations down so low, like, bro, this is fine. Like,
It's fine.
he has a regular apartment.
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of musical instruments around the
Yeah.
apartment. He's a very musical guy. He keeps harping. He's like, yeah, I know it's meager. I know it's meager. Like, don't judge me. Like, she
And he had
wouldn't
a
have
nice
judged
view
you.
too.
Yeah, he had a nice apartment.
Mhm.
So we get into a little bit about the instruments he plays. He says, I play a little bass guitar. He says he learned how to play it shortly after college, after he got into a car accident and he hurt his wrist, which prevented him from playing the drums. So he
Mhm.
wound up learning bass. And then after that, no one else wanted to play drums anymore. Uh,
Mhm.
after he learned bass, apparently he was a better bassist than he was a drummer.
Mm.
In a confessional, MM talks about the fact that she can't wait for him to see her place, but in the past, men have been intimidated with how she lives. So we will see. What did you think overall of the Ikeichi house tour, the cribs episode of Ikeichi's life here?
I literally wrote, "We're in and out of this apartment, like,
Yeah,
so
very
quickly."
fast.
Like, it was they, like, walked in, she's like, okay," and then, like, they sat down on this couch for, like, 2 seconds, and we were in and out. It was, like, just real nice, like, honestly, it was nothing bad, it really wasn't bad. It had a nice view, he had his instruments, it wasn't messy that we
Yeah.
saw, it was just, like, a nice apartment.
Listen, especially compared to some of the places we'll see in this
Yes.
episode, it was a nice regular like apartment. It wasn't anything crazy,
Yeah.
which is why I guess we didn't spend a lot of time there, because when we
Yeah.
get there, we're just like, all right, it's fine. Let's in and out. Let's go. So
Yep.
all right, so now we're gonna get to MM's place. And again, he's all about like, I'm sure going up to the building. He was like, oh, it's a big building. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's a big lot. It's like a skyscraper. But they get in. When we first come in and we see the overall layout, I'm like, okay, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, MM's got it. We do meet Rico, MM's dog. In a confessional, Keiichi says, not the biggest pet fan, but I think we'll be okay. We'll work it out. They have really been hyping up this pet thing. I think it's going
Yeah.
to be an issue with them because
Yeah.
you're talking about on the honeymoon, and now we're talking about he's not the biggest fan, but I'm sure he'll be fine. So maybe a little
Which
preview.
I again, experts, what are you doing? You should never, match people who don't like animals with people who have animals. Like, that to me should be an automatic deal breaker. So,
Well,
I mean,
I'm sure when they ask things like that, I'm sure people downplay it because
yes,
like
they
in a
do.
thing like that where like someone asks you, so how are you with pets? You don't want a pet to be something that obstructs you from getting mashed. So you're like, I'm fine with pets. Like pets are fine with me. Like, it's not like he says I love pets. He's probably like, they're fine. I can deal with it. So like, okay, so he's into pets. And now he's faced with a pet and he's
But
like,
can you deal with
eh.
it?
It's like, that's fine, I guess. So we'll see if that's an issue later down the line.
Well, at least don't pair them with a dog lover. Like, don't pair Asia with somebody who's, I kinda like pets. Like, that
Who's
just
very
doesn't make sense.
yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Asia needs someone that probably already has a dog. Like, actually, you know what? Maybe had a dog, but doesn't have one anymore. Because I feel like Asia doesn't want any other pets of staging Pepper and Cinnamon. So she's like,
No,
I
the
don't need no
Spice
more
Girls work
pets.
well with others, from what I
I
understand.
mean, but will Asia though? That's the question. It's not about Pepper and Cinnamon. I'm sure Pepper and Cinnamon
She
are
was
delightful.
a godmom to Noodle. Wasn't that
Oh
the dog's name? I
yeah.
can't remember.
The roommate's dog.
Yes. See?
Yeah. I
Look at
suppose,
that.
but I think, but that was before. That was
That
before
was before the Spice Girls,
cinnamon.
yes.
That was
That
before
was
cinnamon. She had
yeah,
pepper.
yeah.
She hadn't got cinnamon yet. So I don't
Yeah,
know. I
mhm.
don't know if Asia's gonna be like, your dog's
Asia
all
loves
right.
all
Your
dogs.
dog's all right, but I got pepper and cinnamon. No one's coming with pepper and cinnamon.
My
Uh,
yeah, but my biggest thing is just like, you know, at least I hope it doesn't affect him, but I think you're right. It's a lot of foreshadowing.
yeah.
Rocco didn't seem as animated as maybe another dog we'll see we saw
Yo,
this episode.
uh, that dog had its own little chair. Like every time we got to that to Rico, he was just sitting in his chair. He was like,
There
"What's
we
up?
go.
I'm cool. I'm good. I'm cool." Like
Chill,
he's a very chill
chill.
dog. You know, in
Love
comparison
that.
to another dog we'll see later in the episode, this dog was extremely chill. He would sit in his chair. He wouldn't act up. You could tell that MM spent a lot of money training this dog. She picks up the dog. She's like, "Listen, I feel like more than any other time." I said, MM is what is like what Asia would be like in this experiment, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because MM's like, listen, I haven't gotten him groomed in a minute, so please excuse his shagginess. I feel like Asia would be all over that.
I was looking at that dog. I was like, that dog ain't that shaggy.
It's like it's fine, but she's like, no, he hasn't been groomed, so don't pay no attention to his fluffiness. It's like, all right, cool.
Oh, that was funny. I thought that exact same thing.
Yeah, so we get the tour around, just from an air fryer. MM's like, look, this is my air fryer in my kitchen. In case she's like, oh my god, that is the most fanciest air fryer I've ever seen. It's not going to stack up to my air fryer at all. Like, bro, stop comparing yourself. It's
That's
so
what I'm
weird.
saying. And then especially when didn't we get like a voiceover of MM saying like it's been a problem in the past that like the guys that she dated have been intimidated by how she lives. Let's just set the remind the listeners, MM like owns her own practice. Like she is she's a nurse practitioner, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
Who has her own practice. So she's what we can assume is very well off. Yeah. However, I still thought that her house was still like it was cool. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, it's Chicago, right? It's probably like in the city of Chicago, so living there is expensive,
right?
And so even for this house, which I think even we had steps even, so this is like kind of like almost like a condo type of thing,
right.
So I mean, listen, for Chicago, downtown Chicago probably is probably a pretty penny for that apartment. And as we're giving the tour, every room we go into, he's like, oh my god, this room is bigger than my whole apartment. It's like, okay,
he kept saying that
you are doing too much.
I didn't like that. Yeah,
I'm
like, I feel like you're trying to make her feel bad about that,
and
like,
he is, because like you said in the confession, she says, this has been an issue in the past where men have been intimidated and nervous about how much money I make, how I live. So she literally says like his reaction is making me nervous right now, and I it must so, because he can't stop talking about it. So it's kind of he's like, it's making me a little bit depressed. How much stuff you have? It's like, wow, this is going to be I think throughout this experiment, he's probably going to feel a little insecure, maybe a little emasculated with some of the things that's going on, and maybe the money she makes, and that might affect him and his mood and how he feels about this relationship.
I know, and it's one of those things where you can just kind of see coming, and it's so annoying because MM seems like the type of person who like she's asking so much and like so many times, like, how do you want to be loved? Like she's one of those people who seems very mindful of that, of like the emasculating thing. But if she's not if she's personally not doing things to emasculate you and you still feel emasculated, then what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying?
She can't do anything about your feeling of insecurity. Like that's something within you. Like if she's not doing things and saying things to make you outwardly feel uncomfortable, like if she's not calling up the differences and you're just living with that in your head, that's DOA. Like she can't do anything for this relationship if you're going to act like that. And so I say, like, this must be what kind of Asia feels like sometimes, because we all know that Asia's rocking with it. Asia is a successful person, and I'm sure some people see Asia's palatial mansion have been like, wow, this is a lot.
Palatial.
So yes, this episode we do get our first expert visits, and well, listen, for this one, usually it's one person coming in for our first expert visit. Now we're getting double teamed here. We're getting
big guns.
The big guns, Cal and Pastor Cal friend of the podcast. If you haven't checked out our
friend of
interview
the
with Pastor Cal a few weeks ago, go check it out. So for here, we get Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper come in for the expert visit. We get the formalities out of the way. They ask about the wedding. And, Keiichi says when he saw MM come down the aisle, he's like, damn, she bad. And of course, Dr. Pepper's like, but bad is good in this instance,
Bad is
right?
good.
yes, Dr. Pepper. Bad is good in this connotation. They talk about the honeymoon and how they really got to know each other, did a lot of talking. Pepper says, so what about future goals? Like, have you really talked about what you want for the future, what you want as a couple? They're like, no, not really. And we talked about this a little bit last week, whereas it's like, it didn't feel like they were getting really down into the nitty gritty. It felt very surface. So we kind of get confirmation of that. Like, no, we just kind of talked about ourselves as individuals, really. And so, Cal says, have you guys talked about finances, bank accounts, children? Like children, we talked about children. We did get the children thing out of the way. And, Pastor Cal tells them, like, you guys have to have these like married people conversations at this stage of where we're at. MM agrees, says, yes, we do need to talk more. Like, I want to know what he really wants from his wife, like with intention. Like, what do you want for the future? Pepper says, yeah, you have to want more of each other and speak that out loud. What do you want from each other? Keiichi says, maybe it's a poet in me, but I want to see the art in you. I want you to be free flowing. Like, what does that mean? Like,
I wrote eye roll in my notes.
Extreme eye roll.
What
does that even mean? And this will be a couple of times in this episode. Like, you can't even spell out what you're saying. So why would you say that out your mouth if you can't define what it is you're saying? He basically talks about, she's very mechanical. When we go to bed, everything is put in its place, everything is neat and clean. Like, I get it. He says, but I just want you to smell the flowers and enjoy the sunset. I'm like, oh my God, bro, come on. So you want her to be messy? Like, that's your complaint? Is she's too clean? It's like, cool, I guess. Cal, yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, I can get it, like, maybe like controlled, maybe he can feel like she has her guard up maybe a little bit, but you have to make her feel comfortable to let it down. She has to feel safe and secure. But also I could see in a sense of what, like, from everything that I get from MM, it's like she's always you could tell when he said that he's looking for a unicorn, he wants perfection, you could tell that bothered her a little bit. And I wonder if it's making her step a little lightly, not on eggshells, but to present what she thinks he might want,
which is why she's a little bit.
Exactly. Like, I can see it both ways, but it's like she's afraid that if she doesn't do something, if she does something out of pocket, you might run because you've kind of said you might, what I'm saying?
Exactly. So I mean, I can also see that being her naturally as well, because like we walked into her apartment, that too. Her apartment was probably the cleanest apartment we saw in these house tours. It seems like she is someone that wants everything in their place. She is a nurse practitioner.
I was just about to say,
she is very mechanical. Because she needs to be for her job. I can see where that might be her natural. But then for him to be like, oh, you're so clean, like shut up.
It's annoying.
Like, it's annoying. And Cal just kind of, because they're sitting, MM is almost laying down on the couch. I don't know what this was.
She's like pose. Like,
and they're not really sitting close together. Like, we see in a lot of these expert visits where if things are going well, there will be like a arm around the shoulder, there will be a handhold, something, but there's nothing going on with MM and Keiichi. They're just kind of sitting next to each other, but not very close.
I felt like they were just comfortable. You know what I'm saying? They just kind of like, they just flop down on the couch. They're like,
exactly.
And like
Cal sees this and he kind of like, he's questioning it. He's like, so like, let me Cal, he's like, let me ask you all something.
Oh God!
Is there a lot of physical touch going on between you? Like, don't be afraid to be just, very, very definite about what the touch is going on. I need to. Don't be afraid to get technical. Let me know is there a lot of touch, a little bit, a lot? What's going on? Because I don't see it touching. I want to see it touching right now.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, we touch, like we kiss, we do all this, like, yeah, everything's going fine. He's like, are you sure? Like everything's moved in. Are you sleeping in the same bed?
Yeah.
Do you have any pictures of you in the same bed by chance?
Oh God, that's y'all friend of the party. You.
Hey, he's not gonna hear this. He doesn't listen to
this.
They say, yeah, I mean, we're sleeping in the same bed. Like we have, we're good. Like we have
It's
intimate
day
moments.
one.
We kiss. Yeah, there's
Yep.
been no hesitation there. And Pastor Al's like, okay, sure, all right. MM does say, well, he's in bed by 9 p.m. every night, so the opportunity for intimacy isn't really there a lot because, if he's in bed by 9, so there's not a lot that's gonna be happening because MM's like, I'm not in bed by 9. He is, not me, because I'm living my life. And Ikechi's trying to defend himself. He's like, listen, I'm in bed by 9 o'clock so that I can get to the gym at 5. Get himself a nice 8 hours of sleep before he gets to the gym. That's fine. Cal says, I mean, that's great, but you're gonna have to have some compromise in this. Like, you're a married person now. Married people do certain things. If you're going to bed at 9 o'clock, that can't happen. Pascal says, well, listen, the sex hour is not 9 o'clock. You're not gonna do nothing if you're not in bed at 9 o'clock for the wrong reasons there.
Right.
Ichi. Pepper says, Pepper herself, like, we might need to get some Pepper, dirty Dr. Pepper music in here or something.
Oh no.
Pepper says, 10 o'clock is good, depending on what happens from 9 to 10.
Yeah, that was funny.
Pastor Cal says, listen, 9 o'clock can be hard. Pun intended. I didn't even say that. Pastor Cal said that. He said it. He said it can be hard. Pun intended. He says, listen, 9 p.m. bedtime is okay for a single man, but you're married now. Dr. Pepper says, you guys need to nurture the erotic and the physical intimacy between the two of you. Cal says, now listen. We don't need a lot of detail, but I won't be mad if you give it to me. But he says, but we want to know that you are advancing in that arena. I'm like, sure, Pastor Cal, you don't want detail. Okay, right. Sure. But yeah, that was MM and Ikechi. Listen, how are you feeling ratings wise for MM and Ikechi right now?
So I forgot to bring this up before we started, but I want to do something on this podcast if you don't mind.
Yes.
So
look at you. You try to come for Asia's job. You bring in new stuff for the podcast.
Stop it. Before the ratings, because we'll do the ratings, yes. But I would like to propose a date, like a date night for each couple that I think would help them on their issues, like each issues. I had two ideas. It was between this and doing like their astrology, like if they're astrology compatible. But I ran out of time to look up their signs. So I want to propose a date night for each couple that I think will help on in the areas that they are kind of struggling in.
Okay, I like this. Yeah.
Okay, so for MM and Ikechi, I suggested that they go to a movie. That sounds so basic, right? But I think a movie date where both of them can shut up and not talk.
Not talking cliches, because they love to talk in cliche language as if they are in a Tyler Perry movie. Like that.
Yes.
They are written like they are trapped in a Tyler Perry movie.
Exactly. So if they went to like a scary movie together at a fancy movie theater where they have the reclining seats where they could like kind of cuddle while they're watching the scary movie, I think that would help with their I think they over communicate enough. Maybe they just need to kind of listen to their bodies and let their bodies like.
Pastor Cal likes this a lot.
So I think like a scary movie date, cocktails, like an iPick, an Alamo Drafthouse, whatever your local like really fancy movie theater with those seats, and they can move the headrest and kind of cuddle. I think that's what they should do to kind of build on their.
And one of those movie theater seats.
Oh yeah,
even going to the wrong movie theaters. I feel like I'm trapped in an AMC where the best they give you is that the little divider comes up and you can like turn it into kind of a love seat, but we can never get like a good cuddle angle.
Jason, I know where you live, and I pick like it's so expensive, but at least an iPick is.
I don't even know what that is, Mari. What are you talking
never
about?
heard of that? iPick is like it's a chain of like movie theater restaurants where they have. I'm pretty sure it's the iPick that they literally have a couple seats where it's like seats for couples. Alamo Drafthouse is around here too. I go to Alamo Drafthouse because it's right down the street from me, and they have
like
full on
IPIC. Is that what it's called?
Yep, iPick movie theaters. Yeah. don't go to an AMC or a Regal. All they're going to give you is a little bit of like a leg lift action, but you have to go to like these
things in Bethesda. I am nowhere near Bethesda, Maryland.
This is true, but at least it's
How
up
far
there.
Bethesda is. And Mari, I am an AMC A+ member, okay? I will be giving up a free movie, not free because I pay for the monthly, but then you want me to pay, you want me to go to all of Bethesda.
Yes.
Pay probably like $50 a ticket, to come into this fancy dancy theater.
Yes, but
it's
drinks, cocktails, dinner. It's fun. I thought they had one closer up there, but also there are other movie theaters up there that are like that. If it's not just iPick, you should try it at least once. It's way fancier than an AMC.
Yeah, I've heard about these fancy dancy theaters. We'll have to try one. Maybe I'll just have to settle for some Netflix and chill. I don't know if I want to really get my cut on.
Come on, no, your wife deserves a nice little night out.
Yeah, I know. Anyway, I really like that date idea, and I love the date idea in general. The one for the MM medication I think is a good idea because it does feel like whenever they're together, it's just nothing but talking. And as we talked about, a lot of it is just kind of this nebulous, rosy language that really doesn't mean anything.
Exactly.
So if they have some quiet time where they have nothing better to do than get some physical touch going, I think that's a great idea. As far as ratings, where are you for this week? Now listen, I'm not Asia. I don't have a spreadsheet of where we were
last week.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was a 3. You were probably a 3 last time you were here on them. So what are you thinking of for this week?
Honestly, that's where I'm at. I think there are 3 because they could be good for each other. It's like, will they?
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
I think I'll hit my 3. I'm like at a 3.2. Like it's steadily clicking down inch by inch every week because it always feels like there's some ominous foreshadowing going on, especially coming from his side, right? Because in the honeymoon we were talking about the pet thing. Now we're talking about the difference of living styles, like difference of like how much money she makes and how much money he makes. So that could really spell disaster and spell doom. And on the next time on, it feels like we're getting a lot of the housewarming parties, and it feels like there's going to be some tension between KG and some of her people. So we'll see where that goes. But yeah, I'm gonna stick with my 3 as well. So we're both 3s for this week for MM and KG. Where are we going next, Mari?
So next up, we have Thomas and Camille, who I feel like, again, they didn't give us that much on them. So in MAFS world, that is a great sign.
It really is. Yeah. And, as much as KG and MM click down inch by inch, I feel like Thomas and Camille, they inch up inch by inch.
They really do.
And that's the reason they are like our boring couple of the season so far. We do have an issue, but it just doesn't feel like something that's going to wreck things.
Exactly. It doesn't feel like they can't overcome it. So we first start off with diary cam. In the bed diary cam, Jason, I guess they couldn't get a camera for them.
No, couldn't get a camera, man. The camera were all stretched thin with going to MM and KG's place.
Yeah. But they just wake up saying everything still feels very natural. Very like you can tell that they are comfortable with each other, which honestly, at this point of the experiment, that is what I like to hear. You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
It's always like that's always a good sign. Camille does say to Diary she's excited to see how like Thomas lives. She wants to see like to get a better sense of him. She wants to see if she can get a sense of his style and how he is on the way to his apartment.
And listen, when they go in, that style matches because it's very, very basic. It's very like, did you move? Is this a model house? Like, is there any view at all in here? And because there really wasn't.
She walks in, she's like, the kitchen is bare bones. She's like, she's throwing words around like basic. And nice, simple guy. Like his apartment is really truly is that. Like it's nothing memorable. She does ask him to take her to the closet. He's like, here's my closet. She's like, show me your swaggy pieces.
It's like it's like the Doug Funny closet. Like you open the closet and it's just like 12 of the same suits all in a row. And it's like, oh my God, do you switch up your style at all? But we do get the sneaker collection.
The sneakers,
That's
yes.
the biggest thing that she's like, okay, finally.
All right, yes. He's like, "You're my J's," and then we see them open up a box, and she's like, "Okay, okay." She said he's going up on the swag meter. He was at 5, he's 5th, but now he's 4th on the swag meter. I don't it amongst the other couples.
Yeah.
What is this?
I was wondering if she was talking about the other men.
What's
like
the ranking? Yeah.
Yeah, they're 5. Let's do a ranking real quick. All right.
Okay.
Our old swag
Swag.
meter from 1 to 5. I'll agree with Camille. Thomas is probably 5th place on the swag meter.
I would say him and Alan. Like I go to bat for Alan's style.
Oh,
I do. I go to bat for Alan's style.
Huh.
But I think I would prefer like classic basic over Alan. I'm sorry, I say Alan's 5th, but I like that
Alan's 5th. I was on the swagger meter. I was gonna put Alan very high up, to be honest with you.
Really?
I feel like Alan's got swag that outranks Alan himself. Alan's swag is not for someone like Alan, though.
Alan? Like Alan, because I think Juan, I would probably say Juan is number 1.
Okay, Juan is 1 for you.
Juan would be number 1.
So 1 is Juan, 5 is Tom. Where for you is number 4?
If you say 5 is Tom, then to me Alan is 4, because I think David has a good amount of swag to him. It's just being beaten out of him because he doesn't know what to do with his hands when he's around Michelle.
Yeah.
And then
so for you,
middle.
Akechi is 3 and David is 2, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm down with that.
David, Akechi, sure, Alan, Thomas. I mean,
okay, I'm down with that. Listen, let it be a topic this week in the Facebook group. Give us your swag meters. Like, let us know where you feel like the swag is for all of our men, especially. That seems to be the big question: is where is the swag of all of our men? I like Camille saying, Thomas he's up a place now. He's in 4th. He was 5th, but now he's 4th. I would love to hear Camille's swagometer rankings though. But Thomas for her is in 4th now.
Because that's what I'm saying. Because I was like, it has to be a ranking amongst the men because that's the only thing I could think of. Later, we do get Thomas and Camille talking to Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper, and they're asking them, do you see why we matched you? And Camille is being very vocal. She says, yes, we have a lot of the same core values, and that they have a lot of similarities, so they see why they were matched. But then she does go on to say, but we were raised different in different environments. She says, like, he went to a high school where there was barely any Black people, and she was lucky to be raised in a diverse environment, that her high school was very, very diverse. And so that it was something she didn't realize that they would have to kind of figure out. And this was very interesting. I like this conversation. Thomas does say he wants to learn more about her background and about the diversity. So it really felt like she's like, I'm gonna drag you to your Black side.
Yeah, and I like that. Like I mentioned last week, talking about how I felt like this would be a good opportunity for their differences to help them to learn, and that's pretty much word for word almost what Thomas said. So I love that he's thinking that. I love that he's feeling that, and I love that he really seems to be feeling her. Like he's like, he doesn't, on Thomas's side, he doesn't have a lot to say. It's just like, she's great, she's awesome. Like, and then Camille's just like, yeah, he just needs some more smooth. He needs some more swag. Like that's her big thing in this.
Yeah. She did say so. She does say that, like, he needs to be smoother, he needs to be swaggier, but she does say that she loves focusing on their deeper connection, and that she does feel like there's a seed that's being watered there, and that, like, yeah, he's a little less swaggy, but Thomas himself is like, thank you for telling me this. Like, please feel free to tell me when it's happening, because she did bring up a bad joke that he said, which I was kind of like, girl.
Yeah, I was like, that's like, really? That's what you're complaining about?
We're nitpicking a little bit here. I think maybe that was kind of just the first example that came to her mind. But then again, it's like it's kind of hard to explain to people what you mean by like I need you to be more swaggy and without because I don't think she wants to be like be more black. You know what I'm
Right,
saying?
yeah.
I don't want her to. I don't think she wants to say that. I know she doesn't want to like trigger him or anything.
I just picture like, what if Thomas is like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna put on a do-rag.
Oh
I'm
God.
gonna sag my pants. I'm gonna bust it out.
Right.
It's like, what's up, girl? Like, I
Oh
want to see.
Jesus.
I want to see a terrible attempt at Thomas
Please don't.
thinking he knows what she wants, and then just having. If this were a sitcom, that's what would happen.
That's what would happen. Exactly. That's what would happen.
Yeah.
But she's just trying to explain, like, just like smooth with it, like kind of just like shake out the nerves and kind of just be like kind of like pick her up, you know, like try and do pickup lines and stuff like I think that's what she means at least like but he told a bad story about flossing and blood coming out and that was
I was like I didn't think that was too out of line like because we literally flash back to the joke. He's like they talk about taking her water pick. He's like, oh yeah, it's better than me and my flossing where you know there's just blood everywhere and like there's chunks of stuff. I was like, I mean, okay, like it wasn't terrible. I felt like it was a in the moment like thing. Like it's not like it was just out of nowhere like Alan maybe like Alan would do. He's not as bad as Alan. Like try to be stuck with Alan who's making tossed salad jokes. Like I was like you can be with that. I didn't feel like that was too crazy, but I think she's like less of that, more of that. Yeah. More smooth Tom.
Yeah, jokes take a back seat, more kind of sexy pickup, which made me think of how like sense of humor is such a hard thing to match. You know what I'm saying? Like
definitely.
Matching sense of humors is so hard, and it's something that like Married at First Sight is just always they're never going to be able to account for that. Like you can't account for two people's sense of humors when they're not like without them ever meeting each other. So it's like, and we've seen that so many times on so many seasons. There's always at least one couple where it's like the sense of humors just do not match and they cannot get it together and it just won't. So I did feel bad there, but all of this still sounds fixable. Both of them seem very positive about what's going on. Thomas is so open, and Camille says, "Thank you for letting me be able to voice my concerns or voice my feelings without feeling like, you know, I'm making you mad." Or she says she felt like this is a safe space to do so because they both are people pleasers, so they both had issues in the past being able to say what they really need from a relationship. So even though she might be giving like constructive criticism, it's actually helping her too because she's feeling like she's being heard. And Thomas seems to be able, like he did have a moment last week where he at first he took it a certain way, but he does seem to be like open to the criticism. And kudos again to Camille for doing it in a way that is constructive, which we will see so many times during this episode.
We've seen it be very we've seen it be very not constructive and very like hurtful, you know, borderline like hurtful, disrespectful in a way that they are voicing these things. And Camille's able to kind of say it in a way, like you said, that he's not hurt by it, where he can take in the criticism and maybe see if he can try to fix it. I feel like by the end of this, Cal is almost trying to get Thomas to also talk about something that bothers him, but Thomas is like, Thomas won't really bring it. He's just like, I mean, just keep telling me what you're thinking. Keep being critical. He's like, okay, fine. And Pepper's just like, if you want her to wear 5-inch heels, like if that's what turns you on, go ahead. I'm like, Pepper, like, is this
like, where did you get that from?
Yeah, is this from your life? Like, what are you talking about? Like I remember one time my husband, when we were living in separate houses, he told me to take my 5-inch heels and come on, walk over onto his house. Like, okay, Pepper.
But when she said Camille was like, like, I was like, okay.
I was like, I mean, I don't know about 5-inch heels because I mean Camille is almost as tall as Thomas with flats on. So it's just like, I don't know about 5-inch heels.
We talked about it a few weeks ago. He just needs to slap her butt.
Yeah,
just a good old butt slap.
And I think that will be the perfect upping the swagness and smoothness for him to do. Like, don't be so standoffish. You'd be like, hey, can I kiss you? I think we're at a point where it would be okay if you just came up and like kissed her, like, you know, just, like, you don't have to ask permission for everything. Like, just take her in your arms and like kiss her or something. I think that's what she's looking for. She's not looking for that nice, polite guy every second of the day. I think you're at a spot where you can take charge, you can take initiative and do some of these things. I think that's what she's looking for.
Exactly. And I think that's what Pepper was getting at. And they even said it. They said they kiss, they hold hands, they cuddle, they kiss high and by. So it seems like that door is open, like you said, so he can walk through it. And this, Jason, we've talked about so many couples in the past where it's like the woman's like, I want him to be more aggressive and take charge, while also being so standoffish to the point where we're like, why would he want to take charge when you don't want?
You're not giving the signals that accept it. Yeah,
exactly. Camille seems here to be giving him the signals / like the airplane flag.
Yeah, like, come on in, we're ready for a landing. Let's go.
So Thomas should really take this this advice and really start like upping the romance factor a little bit.
But it's also weird because as unromantic as Thomas and Camille are, it kind of feels like they're our best couple right now, in that realm, because it feels like the other couples aren't even there. Like, they aren't even on Thomas and Camille level. Like, I don't know if all of our couples are kissing high and by. Like, I feel like that might not even be where any of our other couples are. So as low on the intimacy and affection scale they might be our highest at the moment.
Yeah. And I mean, they got a lot from Pastor Cal and Dr. Pepper. Pastor Cal talks about, in marriage, we can change each other as long as it's for the better. We heard this like 3 times.
Yeah, we're gonna hear that a lot.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like this was a good expert episode, right? Because I felt like there wasn't anything out of pocket that anyone said where we kind of tilt our heads and be like, I don't know about that advice. It all felt very, and I mean, yes, it was all kind of introductory level, but that's what all of our couples need right now. Like, it sounded kind of obvious, but that's what we need, right? Because everyone's in the beginning stages. I almost wish that we had an expert visit before we went on honeymoons, right? Where we could impart some of this wisdom beforehand, so that we can hit the ground running on the honeymoons. But here, in all this advice that they're giving, I think is really good advice. It's all very kind of, that's kind of obvious, but sometimes you need to be told the obvious to get yourself going.
This is what you've been asking for. We've been asking for like years now. We're like, please come as soon as possible, experts. Because we need to get on track before we get completely off.
I'm sure Pepper, Cal, or Pia would appreciate a Cancun vacation. Like, have an expert on site. Like, I would love to have expert visits on the honeymoon.
She shows to those.
She loves coming when it's all good. She loves. It's when the times are tough where Pepper's like, "Who are you? Who's this new phone?"
Exactly.
I would love that.
Yeah. So, anything else from the expert visit?
I think it went really well. I think again, we're telling Thomas, like, let's go. Like, you can feel free to pick up the pace a little bit.
So Camille does end up on an outing with her sister. I believe that's her sister, right?
Yep. Her sister, Gabby. Yep.
Gabby. Yes. And I was like, okay, sorry, I got distracted. I was like, are they eating ice cream with, like, what is this? A tea, like a shake thing they had?
It was like it was matcha.
Was it matcha?
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways,
fancy tea is what I call it.
It was ice cream they were eating, right? Was that ice cream?
It was like some acai bowls or something.
Oh, yeah, that makes more sense. I was like, why you got a fancy healthy drink with ice cream? That makes sense. So it was just really quick. Camille telling her sister that, like, again, about how he was raised in more like white spaces, and that she didn't realize this is like an interracial couple. I'm like, yeah, I literally wrote that during the first segment. I was like, this is like an interracial couple. This is like interracial dating. And it made me think, like, the experts and stuff like that, this is something they clearly don't consider. They don't give thought about at all. They're like, oh yeah, 2 black people. I'm like, why 2 black people? We're fine. But like Camille said, once she had to wrap her mind around that, it's like, okay, so now let's figure out how to deal with this. Like, and that's what I love about Camille. From a lot of the other women, she really is doing a great job of like rolling with punches. If if at decision day she said no, I would first off, I'd be shocked, but also I would at least be like, well, at least she gave it a fair shot.
Yeah,
You
you
know what
give
I'm
her the
saying?
credit for trying. Whereas
Exactly.
when someone hits a roadblock they weren't expecting, there's different ways to handle it. We've seen
Exactly.
with Michelle where she hits a roadblock she wasn't expecting. It's just like, whoa, like what the
Roadblock,
heck?
yeah,
But Camille's like, all right, let's figure out a way to get around this. Let's figure out a way to work with this. So
yeah,
she's not like she as you said, she didn't expect this to be a problem, but now
right.
that it's here, she's figuring out how to navigate around it.
Yeah, and she's doing a good job. And the good thing is she has a good partner in Thomas who seems to be willing to work with. They both are at a level of trying that agrees with each other. And I think that's all you really, really want in these type of situations where two people are trying to make something work. That is like just random,
Yes.
basically. And plus their biggest problem is Thomas might not know how to dress. Girl, like she said, we can go to the mall, dress that man up. Black wife effect.
Listen,
On.
I don't know what your date is going to be for them, but I think
Oh, yes.
that would be a great date. Like, let him
So
know
let's get to
how
it.
swaggy you want him to be. But before we get into that, I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting. You know, when Gabby and Camille are talking, Camille mentions that they're going to a pool party at his twin brother's house.
Yeah.
And apparently, Gabby is invited as well because she talks about the fact she's going to be there. So this, I guess, is a whole friends and family party. Maybe a get to know you for all the friends and family that did get to meet at the wedding or whatever. I wonder if that's going to be highlighted in the next episode. I would love to know what comes out of that because, as Camille said, that would be a great way to see Thomas in his natural environment.
Yeah.
He's going to be around his friends and family. So maybe
He'll
loosen up, he'll open up, he'll be more natural. So I'm really curious to see how that turns out and what the result is from that.
Yeah, because I mean, the only thing we got on the next time on was him like saying, "Oh, I want you to be honest with me, because if not, then why are we here?" Which is like, okay, MAFS and your editing.
At some point, we're gonna need to resolve this because it's gonna feel very repetitive. I'm like, okay, I've heard the same stuff for the last 6 episodes. Give me something new. Give me something new.
But to me, it doesn't even feel like I feel like he was maybe like telling the room what they talk about type thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, because we got a cut of him saying it, then a cut to her. We didn't get them like in the same room together, you know.
Just in their apartment by themselves. Like that's what I thought it was, but who knows? You know, they'll do it.
I when they did the thing where she just walked inside of a door and they tried to make it look, I was like, if you don't get this out of here,
crazy.
That was ridiculous. But yeah, I am looking for. I hope that is something that is televised so we can see, because he like, I know that like that's how my husband is. Like he's very like he can come off very quiet unless he's with his people, and then when he's with his people, it's it's very.
I'm the same exact way. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like I would love to see that. So for them, they were actually the couple that gave me the idea of doing this perfect date night thing, and it's exactly what you said. It's a grown and sexy dress up date night. I mean, we're talking the heels, the suits, we're going out for a 7-course dinner. Like I'm talking like grown and sexy. We are doing it big type of date. Like she go get her hair done, her nails done beforehand. He gets a shape up type thing. She dresses him. And then they go out. Like that's what I think would be great.
Yeah, I was thinking more of like a mall date where it's that thing we see in TV movies all the time where like he's in the dressing room and he comes out and she's like she's like shaking her head and he comes out with a little swaggy thing. She's like, yeah, thumbs up, like that type of thing. Yeah.
Feel like a
Mark, your audio sounded really weird.
Oh, I didn't get anything. How am I sounding now?
All right. How are we looking for ratings for Thomas and Camille this week?
They are just getting stronger and stronger to me. I'm a stick. I think I gave them a 4, I want to say. So I'm gonna stick with my 4. I'm rooting for them. I'm rooting for them so hard now. Now I hope I don't get my feelings crushed.
Listen, I'm gonna stay at my 5. I feel great about this. I feel like they are exactly the type of boring couple that we get, and they're strong all the way through. So I'm going to stick with my 5 and hope I don't get let down, because I
Mm,
do feel like as time goes, Thomas will come out of his shell more, because I think that's a
I
lot of
agree.
what this is. I think he's still nervous. This is still new for him. I think
Mhm,
once he comes out of his shell a little more and exposes the real Thomas, and he feels more comfortable just being intimate and real with her, I think this will be great. So that's where I'm at. We're at 5s. Well, I'm at a 5, you're at a 4. So I think just time will help this a lot. So
mhm.
that's where we're at. Where are we going next? We're going to David and Michelle. For once,
Lord.
for once, David and Michelle aren't our final couple, because they have some like crazy cliffhanger or crazy nonsense happening. So we kind of open with them. They're just kind of sitting around waiting for the experts to show up. And you can tell
Yeah.
how weird and awkward it is, because they're just kind of sitting there not talking to each other. David does say it feels like he's like in the principal's office waiting for like a suspension or some kind of trouble. She's like, "Did you get in trouble much?" She's like, "No, no, no. I
No.
was a goody. I was a goody two shoes. I was a good guy." Like
It's
he
so
doesn't want to.
awkward.
Yeah, he doesn't want to scare her. He's like, "No, no. I was a good guy. I never got in trouble. I promise. I promise. I'm a good boy."
It's
Like that might be a
it's
thing.
just
Like, "Oh
so
my
funny.
god, he got in trouble in school. I don't like that."
He said something just to fill the air, and she that's the time she picked like,
Mhm.
engage in conversation. He was like, "Oh, nope, nope, not me."
All
Like,
good here. I had never even gotten a speeding ticket. I promise you. Like I don't have warrants for my arrest.
that was
Uh,
funny.
but the experts do show up. It's Dr. Pia and Pastor Cal. This is the only time we saw Dr. Pia, which
Yeah.
upsets me greatly for many reasons.
Why? Oh, 'cause you want her more.
Yeah, because I was just
Yeah,
like, where's the rest of my Dr. Pia? Come on.
yeah.
So we get them. Uh, Cal and Pia come in. They talk a little bit about the wedding. David says, for me, the wedding was great. I got all I asked for. I found her very attractive, so I was very happy. And they're like Michelle, how does it make you feel to hear that? She's like, it's okay. Like, it's good to hear. And she says, for me, I was vague on physical. I was like, wait a minute, hand raise. Flash me back, production, to where she said she wanted a light-skinned black man with a beard. Okay, so you weren't vague on physical, so let's cut that out right now. She says, but she didn't feel bombarded with things that she wouldn't like about a partner with David, because he came in hot, talking about, he's smoked cigarettes, he lives with his parents, so she felt very kind of overwhelmed by all the things he was sharing with her. Which we did talk about when it happens. Like that was a little much to really come at her with. So I kind of agree with her there. David says, listen, for my part, she said when I told her about the cigarette thing, she said it was gross, and I haven't had a cigarette since then. So like I'm trying to compromise. I'm trying to change things that she doesn't like. She says,
Mhm.
well, I don't want you to change completely for me. And David, before Pastor Cal can even come in with it, David's like, listen, I'm not changing for you. I'm changing for us. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
there
okay,
you go.
David, all right. Pia tells Michelle, like, do you remember what you asked for in a partner? This is the setup of all setups, right? She's like, so do you remember, as the TV cart is being brought in by production to like get ready to show her? She's like, so Michelle, do you remember what you asked us for? She's like, Michelle says, I remembered for someone that was a success and a lifestyle comparable to mine. Like, why? Is there something else you're about to tell me? Pia says, well, you did say, yeah, you did say you'd be okay as long as the person was striving towards a goal to be comparable to you and your lifestyle. And we get that whole flashback. We get the whole thing of Pia
Wow,
and Michelle sitting, and Michelle
poor
saying that
Jay.
exact thing. Because like we talked about it in one of the first episodes, where it felt like, and I think Pia even admitted to this in the matchmaking special. She was like, they had seen David and they wanted David for Michelle, so they were kind of feeling Michelle out to be
Yep,
like, so what if you live with his parents? And Michelle said,
that's what it felt like.
and you could tell that Michelle was hesitant, which for me,
Even then.
if I saw that amount of hesitance as an expert, I might be like, yeah, I'm gonna cross David off the list. Like, you're not gonna be on the show. But the experts are like, she said she was okay with it. I'm like, I mean, did she though? Like, she did, but she didn't. So yeah, you see that we see that flashback, and Pia calls her out on it. She pulls the receipts, and Michelle's like, yeah, but she's like, I just don't know. I don't know the why. She's like, it's like, I don't know why he's doing
Back to
this. I
this
haven't
level
gotten that.
again.
And Cal's just like, okay, so David, like, what's up? Like, why are you doing this? David's just like, well,
For the 1500th
for
time.
the 1500 time we've heard this. He's like, well, I'm never home. Like, I don't see my parents live. So, like, it's not like they're in my face all the time, and it saved me money. I was paying off student loans. He gives this whole like laundry list of things, and Michelle's just like, yeah, I just don't find it attractive
Not attractive.
for someone our age to be living at home. She literally says, if I saw him on the street and found out that this was the situation and he tried to talk to me, I would never want to talk to him again. I was like, whoa, like,
Yeah,
that
which
was
is
harsh.
like, again, when Dr. Pia asked you that, you just should have said
Mhm.
it outright. Which, I get it. She really was like, she was kind of
Yeah,
she's like, really? But then when Pia like explained a little more, she's like, oh, okay, then yeah. But it's like they're asking you this outright.
right. There's a reason they're
Just
asking
say
this
it right
specific
then and
question.
there. I think she was afraid that if she had said no, she would have gotten X'd out of the
Yes,
experiment. Didn't realize it would have been him who would have probably gotten
right.
X'd out of the experiment. But it's just like, girl, be honest. And she kind of says it near the end here that she wished she was a little bit more honest.
Yeah. So Cal tries to get it out of her. She says, so why do you not find this attractive? She says, well, I've worked hard to get where I am, and I wanted someone that would match me, that is working as hard to get out of this, to not live in his parents' basement. Cal says, well, Cal tries to take what David has been saying and spin it again. He's like, listen, it's not like his parents are taking care of him. He's not living under his parents' rule. Like, that's not what's happening.
Mhm.
Michelle says, listen, I had high expectations and they're not being met. It's just very, very disappointing. And Pia's like, this sounds like you're giving up already. And it's like, which, yeah, she really has. But of course, she's like, and she doesn't even say like, no, I haven't. She just kind of, I think Weasel's even a cliffhanger moment in the episode where we go to
It is.
we go to commercial on this.
Mhm.
And when we come back, Cal says, you have to give yourself enough opportunity to see the value in David, to see the value in the relationship. And Michelle just says, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I just feel like I'm just kind of mentally checked out right now.
Yeah.
David pipes up. He says, it's been difficult to understand her and what she is receptive to, because I've done all the things that I've been taught to do as a man. I've held her chair out for her, opened doors for her, and she has responded that she doesn't like that. She doesn't want that. And he
Mhm.
talks about, if she wants me to change it, it's going to take me time to change it, because that's how I was raised. And Michelle explains, well, I mean, like, it's fine for him to do that stuff, but in the beginning, it just felt smothering to her. I'm like, without the parent situation, I think that would have been fine for Michelle. Like, she would appreciate a
Mhm.
man doing those things for her, but I think she was
Right.
just so icked out by the
Yeah.
living situation that she just couldn't. If it almost felt like a random stranger doing these things for her, which would be weird if some
Mhm.
random guy just came up and started doing stuff for you like that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's how she's looking at it right now, because
Exactly.
she won't give herself the mental capacity to look at him as a romantic partner.
This literally just turned into like a a therapy session for Michelle.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like,
Yeah.
Pia, like, we really get into the therapy of it all. Pia's just like, so Michelle, when's the last time you really felt cared for by a partner? Michelle's like, it's probably like about 7 years. Pia's like, well, listen, it seems like you're still kind of in shock. You haven't been cared for so long, so it's overwhelming for you when this stranger is doing it for you, and you can't trust that it's real right now because you think it will go away. I said she kind of wants it to go
She
away. She,
wants it
she
to
wish
go
it could
away.
go away. And Michelle's like, it's tough because I wake up thinking every day, don't be a pill, Michelle. Pastor
Mhm.
Cal said it for me. He was like, a pill? Like, who your
So
age
that
says a pill?
a
Like,
pill.
yeah. And Pia says, it feels like you're really being too hard on yourself. And
Mhm.
Michelle again talks about her high expectations for herself and how she wanted someone that also had those expectations. Cal says you can't take your standards and apply them to others.
Right.
And Michelle does say, it seems like we have different views of what success looks like. And David says, it seems like for Michelle, success is about money. It's about finances. And he says,
Yeah.
for me, success is about having a roof over your head, How's your family? Are you healthy? Is everything taken care of? That's what success looks like for me. And Michelle
Right.
was like, oh, it makes me sound like I'm just some money bitch. I was like, oh, I was like,
Like,
okay.
girl, what is happening? Like, what's happening over there? Because
She's literally melting down in front of all of us. Like, that is
she
what's
is.
happening here. Like, she's melting down on national TV.
Oh, no, because it's like she clearly doesn't want to be perceived a certain way,
Yes, for sure.
but you have these thoughts and these judgments, so that, like,
Yeah,
you know,
she's trying to toe that line of like, I don't want to look like a bad person, but it's like I can't help but think these things, and
yeah,
it's a weird line to cross. Pia says, I suggest you try to focus on other things that mean success to you and what you value, because all we're hearing right now is a lot of surface level things, and
yeah,
we know there's more to you than that. And if
yeah,
it sounds like you're basing things off of fear, and you're really trusting your gut, which is getting you red alerts to tell you to try and get out of this. But you are able to change that. You can change that within yourself. You can change that attachment style that you have. I like that she put it in the attachment style vernacular like that.
yeah. Because it feels like Michelle really wants that that outside validation. She wants that look of like the perfect marriage, two high income earners. Like she wants that outward prestige, but it's just like in that outward perfection. But it's like, girl, what does it matter? Like, okay, you get a guy who matches your success rate, but he treats you like crap. What is it? You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing here? So it's like, I feel like the experts should have thought about this before matching them, because David is just he's just a laid back guy. You know what I'm saying?
Very,
He's never going to be what she wants him to be. Like, there are people, I'm one of those people, like how at my job, like I'm just so laid back that sometimes people think they mistake being laid back as not caring. It's like, no, I'm just not going to let this get to me. I'm going to get what needs to be done, but you're not going to see me sweat. And I feel like that's David, and Michelle just does not like that. We said it a few weeks ago. Like, she's like, why are you not melting down that this is not all perfect? It's
yeah.
like, because
Just
I'm
chilling.
just putting the work in to try and make it good is better than, running around like a chicken with my head cut off. It's just different styles of approaching like problem solving. And Michelle is just too like in her head about it. And and this is probably why not probably, this is why she's single. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is why she hasn't had a real relationship in 7 years.
In 7 years. Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it's like David would be happy if he had a job that he liked, and he's not out to get a promotion. He's not out to get a high raise in pay. As long as what he's making can help him remain comfortable, David's good. But Michelle, seemingly, she wants way more than that for herself and probably for a partner she has. So that's two very different personalities trying to come together, and it's we can see that's very much clashing.
Yeah.
Michelle says, yeah, I like all the stuff y'all are saying, but it's kind of easier said than done. That's kind of hard to do. And Cal says, you are the one in control of this. You're the one that can change it. Michelle says, there's just times that she wakes up and she doesn't want to do it. And Cal comes in and puts down work here. He's like, listen, are there days you get up and you don't want to go to work? She says, yeah, of course. He's like, so why do you do it? She says, I do it because I have to pay for myself. I have to pay my bills. And Cal says, so that's the same type of value that you need to put on this marriage. You need to wake up and decide that you need to do this for you and for your life and these things. I was like, damn, Pastor Cal, you got her with that one. You got her. So I think they asked, like, Michelle's like, what good do you see in David? And Michelle's like, I do see his value. I see that he values honesty, loyalty, respect. He treats me and all the other ladies very well. Like, so I see that about him. I appreciate that about him. Say one nice thing about him, Michelle, please. Before we leave, you say one nice thing about David.
Exactly. Like, it was. Yeah, it really just kind of, I could tell Michelle could tell she was on the hot seat, and I could tell this was her worst nightmare. This is the one thing she did not want to come on the show and happen to her.
she had that interrogation lamp just right down on her, like,
Yeah.
say one good thing about this man.
Yeah.
So she did it. So I mean, basically, the rest of it is just like she's talking about she has so much fear. She has fear of the unknown. She doesn't like not being in control. And you know, P.S. says you have been so independent. You have to learn. You don't have to be as independent as you were before, because you do have a man here that wants to be here for you, that wants to help take care of you, and allowing him in is not weakness. And Cal tells him, you know, if you let each other in, your future is unlimited as a couple. I was like, I'm glad you feel that way, Cal, because I don't know about all this. Like, this is this ain't gonna work.
Very optimistic. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get a smaller scene of just you know, he's on the couch chilling, and she comes in. And apparently, so we find out a lot here. We found out that last night he slept on the couch because he couldn't make it to his bed, I guess. And we also find out that she slept at her place the night before. Like, she talks about in a confessional, she says, you know, I took in the expert visit, and I want to just kind of go to my place and really kind of think things through and figure out where I want to go to from here, and try and remain positive. It's like, you could have done that in a room in the same apartment. Like, it seemed kind of weird to me. She did say, well, you appreciate that I communicated, right? I texted you and told you I wasn't coming. And he's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, because he has to find any little thing to latch on to. He's like, yeah, I really like that you texted me and told me that. Like, and you know, so it's funny. She's just like, she's giving herself any pat on the back for like, I texted you, told you it wasn't coming. He's like, yes, fantastic. But for her part, we do find out that she actually wrote down a list of activities they could do together to kind of get to know each other. So, you know, at the end, she's like, hey, I'm trying. Like, she really kind of pats herself on the back. She's like,
she really did.
Yeah, she gave herself
look at me, cameras.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing things. So she really gave herself a pat on the back for that. So, you know, he's like, yeah, I was hesitant to ask you to do things because your stank attitude. He didn't say that, but that's kind of what he was saying.
This is exactly what I said. David is Ricky Bobby. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Like, he really just does not know what to do. Like,
yeah. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, we now are doing the house visits. We show up at her place, and there's just not much to say here. Like, it's just a very, very neat and tidy apartment. There's not much personality. There's a lot of word art around the apartment.
A lot of live, laugh, love, y'all.
Yeah, a lot of that. So, you know, they kind of she explains a lot about her pets. She talks about her dog walker for some reason. We do find out that she is not moving her pets into the new apartment. She says she wants to be comfortable herself there before she really wants to take her pets there. So that's kind of where she's at with. But I feel like the opposite would help. I feel like if she brought her familiarity with like her pets there, I feel like that would help her to open up and help her to feel more at home and feel more comfortable if she had her pets there.
Yeah, I mean, duh. That's like the why the experiment happened. Not done you, done her. Like, it like, girl, that's the whole reason why the experiment is here and how it's done in a way. That's why everybody else is moving their pets to that apartment. It's just like she refuses. Like, we're never gonna root for them. We're not gonna have those high expectations for Pastor Cal because she will forever be one foot like out to me. And like, you know, this is, you know, the Mac and Gina situation. It was Mac, not Mac and Gina, Clinton Gina. Yes. I always get that. To me, this is not the Clinton Gina situation, because for me, I always understood where Gina was coming from with Clint. I know other people might not have, but I always felt like I understood like where she was coming from, and I felt like she wasn't like, yeah, I think y'all thought she was mean. I don't think she was mean compared to Michelle.
Yeah, like, I mean, compared to Michelle, yes. Like Gina gave subtle digs and subtle jabs, right? Michelle's just outright like, you live with your parents, like you're below me.
I hate
is what she's giving. You are below me in terms of life. Like, that's what she's giving. Gina gave like a lot of subtle like jabs to show that she wasn't into this. But yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and for me, it's just, and I think it's just on the like receiving end of like, David hasn't done like a single thing that feels like it warrants what she's giving him and stuff like that. So it's just like, you know, like anything. I feel so bad for him because he is really like trying to watch what he says. He's trying to just like he's like a, you know, I hate to say it, but like, you know, an abused pet. He's like so scared to like say the wrong thing because he doesn't want to offend her or her to jump down his throat, because we see it here. Like when he's like, "Oh, I like your place. It's very simple." And there's like,
Yes.
"Do, do, 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 do." She's like,
Yeah.
"Simple." Like,
Yeah. Yeah, so like as they're touring her place, like they sit down. We do meet her cat. I forgot what the cat's name was, and the cat is like the cat
yeah,
is so ready to like snuggle up to David. I put him on the list. I said that cat has touched David more than Michelle ever has or
right.
ever will. I thought that was funny because it's like the cat just all ready to be like all up in David's space, like you know David's petting it, and like yeah, David does say yeah, like I like your place, like it's very simple, and like you said in confessional, she's like simple. Like I can't believe he said I like my place was simple. I was like, oh, okay. Like
I mean,
you,
it was simple, girl. Like you didn't have
it
much
is.
in it. You had a nice little view with your little thing and whatever. It was simple. And then I said simple, not basic. And then like
And then he
a
said
little bit
basic.
later, he said basic. I was like,
Later
oh,
said basic.
I said, oop, basic.
That is an oop.
I was like, okay, no, that's not good.
Yeah. So like as you like the next scene we get is them on the way to his place. And he does say he's like, yeah, you know, I'm excited to show you my place. He's like, it's not as simple as yours. I was like, ooh, he said it
Oh God.
again. She's like, I wouldn't say simple. And then he says, yeah, I mean, it's not like as basic. And I'm like, ooh. And she's like, I wouldn't say it's basic either. Like, oh, he really put his foot in his mouth there.
He did.
Um,
That was so funny to me.
which yeah, it's not a great thing to say. Like it really isn't. Like
Never.
I can see why she was just like, oh, okay, like cool. Like I can't wait to see your not basic and not simple place.
Like simple and like quaint to me, fine. But the moment you say basic just now has negative
Yes.
culturally negative connotations.
Quaint would be a good word. Quaint is like a
Yeah.
specific thing. Simple is again like a oh, okay, like love that you said that. And then like you said, basic is like, oh, like you are have
Oh,
insulted me,
we
sir.
about to fight.
Yeah, we're going to engage in fisticuffs right now.
Yes.
So we get to the house, right? And David just like he wants to make sure like that's the front. I don't use the front like that. This is not my house. I go through the side. The side is my place. Like that's where my entrance is. It's like, okay, David, we get it. Like you don't live with your parents, you live under your parents. It's like you have separate entrances. We understand. So we come in. Boy, I really wanted to be on David's side. I really wanted to came up for David. I really did. I'm Team David. But then we come in and it's like, oh, this is your parents' basement. Like this is like that's what this is. This is your parents' basement, and he let you move down here when you were like 13 years old,
God.
and it's never changed. Like it's never changed since you decided you didn't want to live upstairs with them anymore at 13. You want to move down to the basement. They're like, fine, you move to the basement. And it hasn't changed since he was 13 or 18 years old because it's very small, it's very cluttered. There's a lot going on here.
It was like, oh, when what does that mean? When the person you hate makes a good point or something like that. I was like, oh no.
Ugh.
Like I'm from DC. Jason's from Baltimore. We're from the land of like row houses and basement
Mhm.
apartments. That's what I was envisioning every time David said, "No, it's a
Yes.
separate place. It was a separate place."
Yep.
When they pulled up to the single family home, I was like,
Oh yeah, that was your first indication. That was your
I
first
got
indication.
scared.
It
I
was
was
like,
like, "Oh no."
yeah, it was just like when we were thinking, we were like, okay, this is like a rental property that his parents could rent out to someone else. Like, no, sweetie, like that's not what this is. Like, this is their basement that
It was.
he put a bed in the basement and put a dining room table in the basement and called it a house, called it an
He said
apartment.
he had a sweet I would David, oh my god.
Yeah, this ain't it, my
When
guy. This ain't it, my G.
when
So
they
he,
walked in, I could
oh
not. I was like, "Oh no, he
yeah,
does live in his parents'
yeah.
basement." Yeesh.
Yeesh.
I'm
So
not
he's like,
surprised.
he gives her the grand tour, right? Which takes all of like 5 seconds. He's like, here's my bedroom. Y'all, the bed takes up the whole room. Like, this is
Mm,
literally a bedroom. It has a room with a bed in it. It's got a closet where you can't even, there's not even a space to look in the closet. So
mm-mm.
that's tough. And he has a little bitty bitty dining room table smashed into a corner.
Mm-hmm.
He's got all the things, like, as Michelle will later say, it feels like a 20-year-old's college frat room. It really does. He's got the dartboard, kegerator that takes up a lot of space in the hallway. It is very just kind of like 20-year-old bro-y style. There's literally no living room, because, like, I think as we were thinking about this, it was just like, okay, this is an apartment. It has its own living room. It's got a dining room. It's got a this and that. It didn't have none of that, y'all. It had
No,
none of
I
that.
didn't even see the kitchen. Did we see a actual refrigerator down there?
No, I don't know that we did. Like,
I don't know. I don't remember seeing.
I
a
would be
stove.
surprised if it wasn't like a mini fridge and a hot plate. Like, like,
Oh
this
God.
this is my kitchen right here. This is my mini fridge. This is my hot plate. Like, this is where it happens. This is where I cook. Like, so it's tough, man. It really is. So Michelle, she's like, oh, I'm sure Michelle feels all kinds of vindicated in this moment. Like, she starts in, she's like, so if you had a date, like, where would you bring them here? And David, getting defensive already, he's like, well, I mean, we would be out on a date, like, we wouldn't be here on a date, like, and if I brought her back, like, there's my bedroom over there, like, so basically you're coming here to smash and what did Pastor Cal say? Smash and dash on our interview with him. Like, so you're bringing her back here just to smash and dash, and that's it. Like, basically is what he's saying here. Like, yeah, there's the bedroom in there with the couch and everything. And so, yeah, it's like, that's what it's for. She says, so you told me you brought girls back to this place. He's like, yeah, I mean, but nothing serious, like, just like just for a couple of dates here and there. In a confessional, Michelle says, I wanted to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's a lie. She says, but it gives her a very 20-year-old college frat guy, not a 36-year-old man. And David has,
this should have been the moment she was having all the feelings she's been having for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah. And David has the nerve, the unmitigated gall to ask her if this changes anything about how she's feeling. And Michelle says, nope. Like, it's exactly what I expected. You live in your parents' basement.
And I hated to admit, I was like, she right.
Yeah. And David's just like, but I mean, David's really trying to bring this thing home. He's like, but like, what if the people upstairs weren't my parents? Would you feel the same way? And she was like, would the people upstairs that you don't know come down here and do laundry in your house? because when he came in, he's like, yeah, I got my own laundry. And she's like, oh, so your parents have laundry upstairs? She's like, it's like, well, no, like, they come down here and do their laundry. And so she throws it back in his face. She's like, so if you had just random people upstairs, would they come and do your laundry? And he's like, I mean, yeah, but there are people that do that. Like, there's those kind of living situations. David, just give it up, man. Just give it up. And like, it has gotten very awkward. It's gotten very awkward. And he points out, he's like, okay, a little awkward. Yes, it's very awkward.
Like, I am somebody who in college lived in a townhouse with a whole bunch of my friends, and we had a whole lower neighbor, like, in the basement apartment below us, and an older man who, like, we barely ever saw because it was a completely whole different apartment. David, I am sorry. You live with your parents.
We can't give you this one. We can't do it.
We cannot.
We can't do it. We wanted to. We really wanted to
so badly.
It should have been so easy for us to, but we can't. We can't do it. Like, I was really picturing just a completely sealed off thing, but I have a feeling there is a stair in that house that leads directly from the main house to the basement. Like, there's no sealing off. That's what that's the vibe I was getting from what he was saying, but no. Like, no, sir, we can't do it. We as a podcast cannot endorse this. Like, we can't do it. We can't. I'm sorry. I really wanted to, but we can't.
And it's fine. It is, and it is perfectly fine for you to live with your parents.
It is. It really is. If that's something you need, I don't begrudge you whatsoever. If this was any kind of situation, I would envy you, sir. Right. I don't envy this. I don't. But listen, if it's for you, it's for you. I'm not gonna begrudge you that. But Michelle was a little bit right. She was a little bit right to be wary.
I know.
Yeah. With that being said, Mari, do you have a date for these two?
I do.
Okay.
I do. So for them, they need a teamwork based date. So I was thinking, me and my husband just recently did the zombie VR date. Like we went to like Sandbox VR, and that was crazy. It was nuts. You put on the VR suit and you're like fighting zombies. It was so scary. But if they can't do something like that, an escape room date, like a date where they have to like talk to each other, work together, like communicate for an objective to get something done and to see each other's strengths and weaknesses, because she might not know, he might have a strength that she might not know about that's uncovered in an escape room. Asia, I know Asia is kicking the air that she's not here to talk about an escape room date, but I think that would be the perfect date for them to work on some of their shortcomings.
Yes, 100%. I think maybe their date should be apartment shopping for David. Not for them, for David. Listen, I don't even have to ask about the ratings. For me, they're obviously still partying in the one club in the basement. Yeah, that's where they're at for both of us. So they're both getting ones this episode. Where are we going next, Mari?
Okay, so next up we have Juan and Carla. I love Carla and I love Juan. I think this was a good breakthrough episode for them. This is where I was like, yes, expert intervention. Like this felt like one of those couples where if the experts hadn't come in here, they could have really gotten off the rails. So I'm glad that the experts came in, but we like kind of open with them on their way to Carla's storage unit, which I get it. She her lease was up. She was gonna get married a few days later, so she was just like, let's put it in storage.
She's like, I'm gonna move in with my man. This is gonna go great. Like, you know, it's almost like setting your expectations high, right? You're like, it's almost like it would almost be cursing the situation if I said, let me go find another apartment, because this is gonna work out. I mean, my husband are going to either move into his place or gonna place on our own. So I kind of liked that mindset Carla had in a way.
But let's be clear. Only a hot woman can do this. Because
only a hot woman. Okay, give me your rationale for that.
Because if this was David who said, I have all my stuff packed up in a storage unit and I'm technically homeless, like, come on. Like,
he'd be trying to convince her that the storage unit was a good place he could live. Like, you put a bed back there, like you got it. You got it going on.
Like, this is one of those things. It's like she's technically homeless, but we're like, oh, it's perfectly fine, Carla. That was so smart of you. You're right. You're putting your all into it. I feel like this has happened to somebody before.
Where like such a good idea.
Yeah, and it's like, no, are you not? Or if this was a man, we'd be calling him homosexual. I feel like we would be saying
it was like
on the show for
it was on the New Orleans season. It was what it was? It was Henry and Christina, I think her name was. And midway through the season, we were like, do you have a place to live? Because she kept giving all these excuses of why she couldn't see his place. She had all her stuff in her car. It's like, do you have a place? Like, do you have a place to go? Are you doing this because you so you can have a home? Is that what you're doing this for? I think that might be what you're thinking of. But yeah, I'm sure Carla was just like living at her parents' house or something.
That's what I'm saying. Carla, the free spirit, was probably couch surfing. If you were to tell me that she's lying about the lease being up right before the wedding, I'd be like, yeah, that tracks. But yeah, it's really cute. They go to her storage unit and Juan is making jokes. Of course, he's like, oh, what is this? It looks like someone just dumped this stuff in here. Like, oh, it's so messy. And he's like poking fun at her, and it feels like a good time. But then it also kind of feels like Carla was kind of like, all right, enough, Ancho. That's what as she would say. She found her sound bowls, and he says something about her sound bowls. She's like, I'm gonna put it on your head because you need extra healing.
There also is a random dirt bowl. I was like, okay, she didn't explain what the dirt bowl.
She grabbed it too, right? Like the one she grabbed. Yeah. Weird. But in confessional, Carla says Juan loves to have fun. He loves the word fun. He likes to have fun. She said that twice. He's a very goofy person. and she said she likes that, but you can't have fun all the time. And she wants to be able to go and see his place, and she wants to see if he's able to like calm down a little bit. And Juan is goofy. I personally I think that's so fun about him. But later on, I'm like, okay, I kind of see where she's going when she's sitting here talking with the experts. What did you think about her thoughts of Juan cracking jokes at her storage unit?
Yeah, I thought it was fine. We keep hearing from Juan that he's such a he's a drill sergeant during the week. I'm like, so have we not seen that yet? Or are you
Have
still
not
waiting for that side to come out?
Right.
But yeah, he is very he likes to poke fun. He likes to be very jokey, which I think Carla it doesn't dig that all the time.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see how that clashes and how we fix that problem.
Right.
Juan is a very complex guy, it seems like, because
He is, right?
he seems like he shouldn't be that goofy.
Exactly.
Based on his look, I guess, which I guess is bad from me, like being stereotypical
That's
about this guy.
Oh, yeah.
But like it just seems like he shouldn't be that goofy. Like so it's interesting.
Right. It's very interesting. So we do end up going to Juan's place, and Juan's cousin Daniel is just there at first. I was like, what? Is it?
Oh, so
And then they say,
this is your cousin who obviously wasn't invited to the wedding. Is that because this is his first time meeting Carla?
Oh, right.
Because like, hey, I'm Daniel. Like, obviously, you ought to be at the wedding. So it's
That's true.
That's awkward. Like, here's the cousin I didn't invite to the wedding.
And that cousin will be staying in Juan's place during the experiment. I was like,
damn, Juan,
okay.
you broke. You broke. You need someone to sub at your apartment.
I mean,
Because he did tell us he was broke. He did tell us all his money goes into his business.
He did. He has a whole bunch of like laughing Buddhas in his house, or at least one we saw. And you just camera to Carla like eye roll basically.
Deadpan, like what the hell?
Yeah, like what is this? He has a hammock in his living space area,
which he says is very unique. He's like, I'm the only person that has a hammock inside their house. I said,
because it don't make sense, sir.
But I think there's probably other people that have hammocks in their like living space. Like I don't think that's a totally crazy thing to do. But I think he thought it was very unique. It was weird. I was like, you have a whole balcony you can put that hammock on, like right out there. It was quirky. Juan is very quirky, as we see from his living space. Like he has a TV on his drywall cart.
Drywall cart. I was like, sir.
It's like, so you're a very quirky gentleman, because as we can see from his house, there's no real, like as Carlos says later, like there's no organization. It's just stuff spread out. He's got some weird, I don't know if it's a flag or what he's got hanging up on his wall. It's like a very like kind of drapey thing. I'm like, what is going on here? There's no,
what is happening?
There's no sense of theme. There's no sense of style going on in this apartment at all.
He has instruments. He has like a bike, like stuff. It's just
all around
random stuff. It was not what I was expecting, to be quite honest. Carla says about the drywall cart, that's industrial. Wow.
Yeah.
A little different than I'm used to. It has to go.
Gotta go. I'm not gonna be here if I'm here.
He's like, so this isn't a total bachelor pad, right? I'm like, sir, yes.
Yeah,
like what?
It very much is.
You barely have a couch. I can barely see the couch.
You are competing with David for like the most bachelory pad that we have for our gentlemen.
Now we see why they get along so well. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We see why they get along so well. She does say it needs a woman's touch. And so they sit down, and this I thought was very telling. This is something that it got deep between them. That I'm like, okay, I don't think we necessarily see this as much. So Carla talks about how before she has had to move in with an ex-partner into their living space, which again, she's not beating those like
not beating allegations of a sugar baby or whatever you want to call it. She's not beating allegations.
She's not beating those. But she said since you'll be living here for the next couple years, which I was like, oh, is this must be a condo type
Yeah, some sort of
situation.
lease situation or yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cause yeah. So she asked, like, is it okay if she moves in? And he says logically it makes sense that once they're done with this experiment, that they would say that they would move in. But she was like, will I be able to bring my stuff into the space? Will I be able to make this space like for us? And he's like, yeah, of course. But also don't move my couch or my hammock or my
Yeah.
artwork. Like, sir, what are you trying to fight for? Because this?
Yes. This is what you are no compromising on. It's just like, well, you can like it's almost like you can bring a couple things here. He's like, but I don't see me getting rid of a lot of stuff. Like, really? You
I
can't get rid
cannot believe that.
you can't even move some stuff around and bring my stuff in. He basically shut her down. He was just like,
He did.
yeah, no, though. He's like, yeah, but we could probably get rid of a lot of your stuff because I have stuff here already. It's just like, oh, like that's not what you want from a response from what Carla asked him or said to him.
Especially since we do get in a confessional that she says like that's was a problem with her previous. I think that was in a confessional, but she said like in her
No,
previous.
she said it to him. She was just like, yeah, and there was an issue because he wouldn't let me bring a lot
Okay,
of my stuff. Like he
there it
he,
is.
he
Yeah,
said things were good as is for his place, so he wouldn't let me bring a
she
lot of my
did
stuff,
say that.
which I think is very important when you are merging lives, right? Because you
Yeah,
have to. It's gonna feel like I'm in your place and I can't touch your stuff if I don't have some sort of say so about what's going in the house, right? Like, so it's gonna
he
feel very like, as you said, I think like walking on eggshells about being in his place.
he really should just let her like do whatever she wants to. Like there's literally nothing in that house to
Let
preserve.
her
Like
decorate because this is literally no decoration. This is
there's
literally what happens when you don't
nothing.
decorate. You just have random stuff thrown into the apartment. Like it's
It's like
almost
a
as if it
storage
was
unit itself.
right, exactly. Like his apartment is like a storage unit. You just have random stuff thrown in the apartment. Like that's what it
Oh
is.
my gosh. It was just that was just yeah.
So
So
he thinks his what do you call it? Boho. I think it's like boho chic type of thing he has going on, which isn't.
mm,
It's not very curated. It's just kind of
it's
like a go with the flow, which you would think
yeah.
she would be like all down for
Exhibit.
because she's kind of like that. But she's like no, no, no. I am boho, but I'm not random boho. Like it's got to be organized, orchestrated boho chic. Like, yeah.
Oh. um so Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal visit and they ask, what's going on. Carla says he's not mindful of her feelings, and she cites when Juan went with David on the honeymoon. We get a flashback of Juan saying like he didn't even think about her when he was out with David. Carla says you told me that you and David went to the spa, you went to the whatever, and you guys had a moment. She's like, well, I wanted a moment with you. I want like how that's what made me think like I wanted a moment with you. And Juan was like, okay, yeah, I didn't really mean it like that. I understand like how when I thought back about it, how harsh it was, but that's not what I meant. And Dr. Pepper comes in and says, like, Carla should be your primary focus. Like why should Dr. Pepper have to tell you
Yeah, that should be a dead like giveaway. That should be like something you already knew, my guy. Like don't
exactly.
don't go off having excursions with the other men on the
Other
honeymoon.
couple.
That's not what this is for. That'll come later when the production makes us do these men
These
and women
forced ones.
getaways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he goes on to say, like, yeah, he felt bad about that. He didn't mean to do it. But then he also goes to say that she gets very passive aggressive. Like he wishes like if something's wrong with her, she would tell him because instead she gets passive aggressive and she gets cold and he just wants her to communicate how she's feeling. And then Dr. Pepper comes in with the whole like, yeah, that's called withholding, using withholding as a weapon. And she asks Carla, does she do that? And Carla's like, yeah, I do. I realize that I do that. Um, and this part was again with the two of them where I was like, I realized they were having like some issues, but I didn't realize how big the issues
Yeah.
were because we even laughed off the the whole David thing. We were like, we're like, oh, so they made that whole moment with Carla and Juan seem so bad, where he had to hold his shoes or whatever, he had his
Yeah.
clothes, and we were like, oh, it's not that bad, but it's like it is, because like Juan said, Carla was really holding this
Yeah.
around him.
In last week's after party, Juan elaborated on this a little bit. I think what Asia said was that like Carla had a bag, and she wouldn't let him use the bag. She forgot the bag in the hotel room. That's pretty much exactly what happened, as Juan
Right.
explained. Because even Rudy was confused about what had taken place. She's like, "Can you like elaborate on this?" She's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, Carla been holding our stuff in her bag, and when we met up for breakfast, she wouldn't give me her bag or whatever, so he had to get a bag from the guest
That.
services or whatever." And then he talks about how they were at breakfast and Carla and Madison were having breakfast, and Carla did not even acknowledge Juan when he came in to breakfast. Like, she wouldn't even look his direction. Like, that's how harsh it got. That's how much she felt that, and she wouldn't, instead of confronting the situation head on, she literally just ignored the man, which is not good at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that makes sense. So Dr. Cal, Lord, Pastor Cal says that they just need to relax and take the pressure off. And he says, we get reports.
Oh, the experts in their reports, like,
Yeah, there are reports.
we get reports on what's going on. I'm like, okay, instead of reports, you could actually be here, but that's beside the point.
But whatever, sure. And he says, did you guys pull back? We're seeing that you pulled back. And Juan goes to say, he's like, yeah, I pulled back. And then Cal's like, well, if you pulled back, then she pulled back. And then she goes on and like confirm, like, yeah, they both pulled back. And I was just like, I'm glad that they're here for them to realize what the both of them are doing, because they started off really well. And
Mhm.
they clearly couldn't get over this first hurdle by themselves. So the experts being here, I think, really helped, because Dr. Pepper suggests acts of affection and being intentional with each other. And then they sit there and they make them tell each other what they want,
They
right?
almost make them hold hands. Like, all right, now hold
Yeah.
hands. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, and yeah, like you said, I think Juan and Carla need the expert intervention, because it doesn't feel like they're going to talk about their issues without being kind of like,
Force.
forced into it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So Juan starts, he says he wants more tolerance, more communication, and less assumptions. Like, he doesn't want her to assume his thoughts. He says, I am only human. So please let me know what is bothering you, what I can do better, and stuff like that, which is, again, something we've heard from our other couples in this episode. I think this experiment in itself really is one where you have to be open to criticism and open to like the other person's needs and stuff. And then Carla says she wants more mindfulness for him so she can feel more stability and security. Um, and I mean, I thought this was a good session, because at the end, Dr. Cal says, don't screw it up.
Yeah. Hey, just he tells them what you have here is viable. It can work. Yeah, like just don't screw it up. Just keep it.
Honestly.
Just work at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What is their date?
Well, also on the next time on,
Oh, yeah.
Carla said something about it felt like she was kissing her cousin, which I was like, oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not good.
Not great. Not great.
Not great. Yeah. Oh, so for their date, I thought that they could definitely use, I mean, we gotta do it. It gotta be the salsa date. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Just
yeah. Okay.
reconnect, reconnect. They already did, because we saw with how the photography date went with them. Like, that actually kind of soothed what was going on while they were still in Mexico. They need to do the salsa, the barata date, whatever dances they wanted to teach each other. Have that way, Juan will take the lead. They'll just listen to their bodies a little bit more and kind of
Pascal say,
reconnect.
yeah, listen to those bodies. Get that physical touch going. That's what I'm looking for.
Exactly. Reconnect back with their roots and with each other, because that is what I think drew them to each other to begin with in the first place. So
Yeah,
definitely a
that's
salsa date. Mm-hmm.
That's great. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
As far as ratings, where are you at?
I think I'm still at a 3 for them. I'm pretty sure I said 3 last time, because again, it's just it's them. Decide. Y'all have to
Yep.
decide because they really can be great for each other. It's
Gotta
just
put in the
they
work.
put in the work.
Gotta put in the work.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I said, I don't remember where I was. Asia, why did you abandon us? You
I
have the
know.
spreadsheet. You have where we are. I don't know. But no matter where I was, I think I want to take them out of 2 because
Mm,
feels like we're going in a bad direction here.
yeah.
We're pulling back from affection. We are not being as open and communicative as we could be. So I'm giving them a 2 because
Yeah.
yeah, interesting.
It can go either way.
It really, really can. All right. So next up, last, maybe least, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alan and Madison. Alan and Madison are interesting because Madison is where Michelle is at, but she's doing it in a much easier fashion, right? She's doing it in
Right.
a less harsh manner in
Right.
this way. She can put up with Alan. It's just that, it's tough for her.
Mhm.
So yeah, we left off last episode with Madison did not return home on the first night. She went out with her girls, and when we left Alan last episode, we didn't know when she'd be back. He didn't know when she'd be back. When we came back to this episode, we found out she never came back. She said she told him she'd be back by midnight, but she texted him at like 1:30 in the morning, said she wouldn't be back, that she's gonna sleep at her place.
Mhm.
For Alan's part, he says, yeah, I'm bummed about it, but I know that there are going to be plenty of nights. I just need to be patient. I was like, Alan, you're better than me, my man. You're better than me because I'd have been pretty upset about this. I think he is. I think he's kind of fronting a little bit for the camera of not being
Yeah.
saying he's not as upset. But she does eventually show back up. She tells me, yeah, I went to dinner with my girls. We went out. We had a lot of drinks. She says one of her friends was having a lot of issues, so she took her back to her place, and they all slept on her couch. He
Why
told me.
didn't that remind you of the song Busted? I was like, sure.
He basically tells me he told the camera, like, listen, I was looking forward to hanging out the first night, but friends and family are important. He's like as long as it's not a guy that you're doing this with, I'm okay. I'm all right.
He made sure to mention he went to the gym.
Yeah, he's like, I went to the gym while you were gone. It's like, oh, okay, cool. She does tell him, listen, I like to spend nights with my friends. She's like, not every night, but it's not out of the realm possibility that'll happen on occasion. It's like, okay, I feel like she's trying to set the expectation of like, I'll be gone. Like, so there's some days I won't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says, you excited to see my place? He's like, you're finally going to get to see my hoopty. And she was like, hoopty? What does this word mean?
Lord.
I was like, okay. Obviously, Alan has some black friends somewhere. Okay.
He sure does.
So we know that.
All right,
And
I hope he does.
yeah, well, I hope so. For sure. I hope we're not appropriating some culture. But Madison is just baffled. She's like, oh my gosh. She's like, I have to write this down. This is another Alanism. I was like, all right. Not
Please
exactly.
don't.
Not exactly
He did not come up with this,
that,
girl.
that was not an Alan original, my dear.
Girl.
So, okay. He said he's going to take her to see the hoopty. We go to get in the hoopty. The hoopty is a jaguar.
The hoopty is a jaguar. I said it.
That is not a effing hoopty. Like, don't make me curse on this podcast. Like, that is a hoopty is a pinto. A hoopty is like a broke down piece of junk. It's a lemon. So like when he pops up they leave in a jaguar, I was like, how dare you, sir?
He that's why I think the joke backfired on him because he wanted to say hoopty, so she'd think it's something like it's
Busted.
broke down and busted, and then he pops out with a jaguar and it's cute, but it just didn't go that way.
It went right over her head.
It went so left.
Yeah. So we get to his car. He has some like rubber chicken or something. Only something Alan would have in his car. He says he's fixing it for his niece, whatever. They get the Jag, and I think Alan is trying to overcompensate because they get the Jag, and he's like, zoom off. They spin off. He's like, look, I can go fast.
Like,
brother. We get to his place, which again, I have to call out the camera placement. There's just a cameraman sitting in Alan's empty dark apartment, waiting for them to show up. They're turning the light. He's like, all right, I'm sitting in the dark. Alan to come in. So like, I just think it's always so funny.
That is funny.
we see his closet, and he been talking to her about this fur coat that he had. He shows the fur coat. It's not really like a full length fur coat that you would think of. It's more of like a bomber jacket. There was a baby gate up at the closet. I was like, why is there a baby gate up at the closet? We will find out
We
later.
find out.
Yeah. So he's showing her around, and the whole time Madison is like, I was really anticipating a lot of uniqueness, a lot of Allenness, but it's not as bad as I thought it would be. He shows off his closet. He's got some loud hats in there. He shows her his kitchen. He talks about how he got the kitchen renovated. I guess he owns this place.
Had to.
Yeah, he owns this place, I guess.
Amazing.
Yeah, this was a master kitchen because apparently
I
Allen
love that kitchen.
Yeah, Allen likes to cook, so he got the whole kitchen renovated.
Great kitchen.
This went well because Madison says, the more I'm learning about Allen, the more I'm really appreciating him. So this was not as bad as I think Madison thought it was going to be. So that went pretty well. Was there anything that stood out to you, especially about Allen's abode?
The kitchen.
Yeah,
And the kitchen was really pretty. It was very organized too. I think she thought it was gonna be like kind of goofy. I mean, he had touches. He had like a stuffed avocado.
Yeah.
A really big stuffed avocado, like on his side table. But like that. Oh no, that was a very nice apartment. Like I'm pretty sure he makes money too.
Oh, he makes bank.
They said he made a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, notably, we don't get a apartment visit for Madison, which is like we never saw her place. I don't think we saw Camille's place either.
No,
come to think of it. So there were a couple people we didn't see their apartments, I guess, because there probably wasn't anything really to point out, which would be my guess. So we jump directly to the expert visit. We do have Dr. Pepper, Pastor Cal for this one. They ask, how's it going? Allen says, I feel like we're acclimating well. We like each other, and it's going okay. Pepper asks, so what's easy and what's not so easy? Madison says, the communication has been good. They're letting each other know where they are with each other and figuring out their different habits, lifestyles, and hobbies. Madison's feeling more and more comfortable as the days go on. Allen says, the wedding was great, but it did seem like there was a kind of a reality check for Madison after the wedding. Madison says, we do need to work on the romantic and physical chemistry because it's been hard for her because it kind of is working backwards, right? They're already married. Now they need to figure out the romantic piece of things. So they're getting there while also learning about each other, which is kind of hard. Pepper talks about not wanting to replicate a past relationships that didn't work. Husband and wife, interactions are much different than hot date interactions. I think she's targeting Madison directly with that comparison. Like this isn't like some hot fling you're going to go on. This is someone that you want to be with for the rest of your life. Like, and are those personality traits there? Not necessarily is he hot? Like, is he a hot guy?
Yeah.
So Pepper does ask Madison, so what do you need to see from Allen to get there more in the intimate realm? Madison again says, listen, I don't want to change him dramatically, but she does realize this change needs to happen between the both of them. And this is where really Cal gets in his bag about, marriage does require change. We do need to change each other sometimes. He says, Allen, how do you feel about changing for one another? Allen says, there will naturally be some adaptation for creating an us instead of just two separate people. There will be some adaptation that's involved in that. Changing a bit, making compromises, making concessions is a natural part of a relationship. And I love this. Like, I love this thought process, right? Like, there's not going to be two perfect people that go into a perfect package that are already fully formed. It's going to take change. It's going to take getting rid of some bad habits. It's going to take to maybe even getting rid of some things that you really like that another person doesn't like. That's part of the sacrifice that comes with a marriage.
And with this experiment, unfortunately, those changes are going to have to be quick and abrupt in order for you to try and figure out if it's something you want to stay in. Like when you're dating somebody over a period of years, you change, you just don't realize it because it's normally slow and methodical, and you guys slowly both change in a way to make the relationship continue to work. We don't have that time here. So you have to be really like surgical with it. You have to really like identify what you both can change, if you're willing to do it, and how to do it, and then do it quickly. And some people just can't do that. Looking at you, Michelle. So it's just kind of like, it's just a different process. And they have to be open to it, and they should have been open to it when they signed the waiver and all of that.
Yeah. I just think a lot of people come into this thinking they're going to get the perfect person for them.
Yeah,
And they were never promised that. I don't think the show
never.
tells them that they're going to get promised that. I think
Yeah.
probably from jump they tell them this is going to take work, and they're like, yeah, but you guys are going to give me the perfect person though, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, no.
Talking to you, Madison. Like at this point, I'm kind of just mad Madison didn't say give me a meathead, because I'm just so annoyed like how specific she is with what she like wanted.
And I'm specifically annoyed at Madison for taking shots at Alan's style and swag, because how dare you show up in every single scene with a freaking tank top with some gym leggings and knock this man's style. How dare you? It would be a different thing if you were coming in here swagged out every day with a different kind of outfit, but no, I only seen you in tank tops, leggings, and some jeans.
That's
like,
what
come on, you're not giving me anything, girl, to be smashing someone else's style.
And that's what I just kept thinking. I'm like, she is literally a pure gym bunny. She is that is what she is. So like I'm that's why I'm like, should I be mad at her or should I be mad at the experts for just not giving, because that's clearly her life. That at least what we're seeing from, like you said, the outfits, like she clearly eats, breathes, sleeps the gym, which I didn't get. I didn't watch the matchmaking special, but I didn't get that from her initial introduction. So I'm kind of mad at them for not just giving her a bodybuilder and being done with it.
Yeah, but I think she was so adamant that that's not what she wanted anymore. But I think she could have had a gym rat that was a nice gym rat. Like they could find that. Like,
I think right there.
Right, exactly. So Alan says, "Listen, I'm always going to be a little weird and eccentric, but I'm willing to change what is needed to make this work." Cal says, change is okay as long as it benefits both of you. Cal points out the differences in them working out. He tells Madison, like, you work out a lot. Alan, not so much. And, but Alan, you decided to go to the gym more would benefit both of you because it helps you out, Alan, in your life as well. Alan points out, I've been to the gym 4 times in the last 3 days, and also it tells you they don't spend a lot of time together. Madison had no idea that took place.
She didn't know.
She says, Madison says that the actions he's taking is going to help. And the fact that he is receptive to what she is saying is a great start. Cal's like, you guys look great together. You look comfortable with each other. He says, you guys have the ingredients there that can help you build what you need and what you want. So next up, that's the end of the expert visit. Of course, these expert visits always just abruptly end. Like there's no so natural in these things.
Right.
Just kind of end. So next up, Alan brings Luffy home. Luffy is his dog. Luffy is a terror. He's a nightmare. He is a dog, right? And we wondered why Alan had a baby gate up on his closet. And Luffy is the reason, because if that baby gate wasn't there, Luffy would be taking apart all the clothes in Alan's closet, because Luffy gets in the house and he is just a bundle of energy, which I guess you can expect with a dog in a new
puppy,
place,
right? That dog's a puppy, right?
I don't know about that.
He sounded like he's I don't know.
Well, he said his puppy teeth were gone. So it sounded like it was like a new thing. So maybe he is just outside of a puppy. So Luffy is all over the place. He is jumping all over the place.
Shout out to the One Piece reference.
Oh, okay.
Monkey D. Luffy. I'm pretty sure
I'm gonna let that sit in awkward silence for a minute because that deserves that. Anyway, Luffy's all over the place. Madison's like, oh, we got the Red Rocket making an appearance. I was like, okay.
Whoa, didn't need to know that.
We're not talking about dog penises here. Like that. I would assume that's it. I would assume that would have been an Alan thing to point out, not a you thing, Madison. I think Alan is rubbing off on Madison a little bit here. Alan's like, he puts stuff in his mouth a lot, so he's gonna try and bite you a little bit. So just be careful. He's humping stuff a lot. He's humping couch cushions.
Spay and neuter your pets, y'all. Spay and neuter your pets.
In a confessional, Madison's like, he's a lot. Like Luffy is a lot, and it might be a little bit of a challenge to try and deal with that while we're trying to build a marriage. Alan is making dinner. In a confessional, Alan talks about how great it's been living with Madison. There's no awkwardness. Things feel natural. He's like, you know, I feel a lot more natural if there's any physicalness going on, but
Jesus.
it's been good. I was like, oh, okay, Alan, I see where you're at, what you want. They eat their dinner. Madison loved what Alan made for her. In the confessional, she talks about the fact that, you know, he's gonna have to do this a lot more because she is not capable of making something this good. The conversation turns to religion. They're both pretty much not really religious people, and they would not force religion on their children, which I think is great. I love that for them. I love that they're on the same page on that subject. We pretty much leave we leave their segment, just Luffy just on a rampage, tearing up the place. Alan asks her, so now that Luffy's here, he literally says, now that Homeboy is here. I was like, okay, got you. He says, how do you think this is gonna work out with him here? She's like, yeah, he's a lot, but we'll try and teach him some manners since there is a woman of the house here. Like, get us into some training, please.
We're talking to some training, man.
Yeah, come on. I'm sure Asia can give you some recommendations. There's a little, what's the place called? Little Dog House or whatever the hell Asia's.
PetSmart does
training.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Yeah, so that was Alan and Madison. Do you have a date for Alan and Madison?
I do. So for our last one, they need to do a like I call them the IG dates, but basically like a rec room or like laser tag. They need to do something really testosterone driven. So like maybe Alan can show that he can hang with the big dogs. I think a rec room is great. Have you ever done a rec room, Jason?
Is that the thing where you come in and just like pretty much beat the crap out of stuff? I would love to do one. I have not done one. It's not. I mean, listen, rec rooms, escape rooms, all this stuff is not usually my bag, but I want to get more into it because they all sound fun.
They are fun.
Yeah, it's just something I definitely want to do. It's just I haven't really had the space opportunity to do it yet.
Again, every time me and James go on a date, we do like dates that we seen like IG and stuff like that. So we went into a rec room / axe throwing date, and I think they need to do something like that, like a rec room, get the frustration out. They both can just have fun throwing and wrecking stuff, and then throw some axes. He needs to beat her in something, like show, you know what I'm saying? Show that he's like he can boss up, something like that. Get the blood flowing, get the blood pumping while also laughing, having a few beers. She seems like a beer girl. Something like that. Yeah,
I don't know how this is gonna, like, I think the perfect date is what they're gonna do next episode. It's like, it seems like they're both gonna be at the gym working out. It just seems like Madison.
The gym is not a date, y'all. The gym is not a good date. The gym is not a good date.
It just seems like Madison is like French vanilla, and Alan is Chunky Monkey. Like, right? Like, it's just like their ice cream flavor. Like, Alan's very eccentric. Madison just seems like a very basic gym lady.
Dang, no, I want some French vanilla. Yeah.
I mean, I'll put that in the Facebook group. Like, which ice cream flavors? Maybe that'll be our next gimmick next episode. I really like the date thing that you did here. I love that.
Thank you.
As far as ratings, where are you in the ratings?
A 2. Just a 2. I won't go all the way down to a 1. I'll just say a 2 because I think they'll at least be they might be civil enough just to make it to decision day, but just be like, we'll be friends.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, our ratings are to reunion.
I know.
So I'm giving them a 1 because I just think there is no way in hell that when we get to the reunion, they're going to be sitting together on a love seat, all happy and chilling. I just don't see that for them in their future.
Yep, you're right.
That was our episode. Mari, thank you so much for stepping in when Asia abandoned us. And Asia, I'm just let y'all know, during this recording, Asia just sent a text message to Mari and myself.
Oh, dang.
She doesn't even know we're recording right now.
Yeah.
But this is actually a text message from an Instagram video talking about the first time I used a honey pack. So, masculine content. If you have the time to send us text messages, you had the time to get on this podcast, talk mass with us, Asia. If you're listening to this, we'll see if she even listens to this. We'll test her next episode. See if she actually listened. So thank you so much, Mari, for stepping in when we needed you. Asia abandons the listeners and the viewers to do whatever it is she wants to do. It feels a different feel for me. I'm on the left hand side of the stream yard. This is a new position for me. I had a great time with you, Mari. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell the people where they can find you on the interwebs and all that good stuff.
Well, you can find me over at the Recap Kickback. Me and Chappelle are having so much fun talking about whatever we feel like it. Last week we dropped our rap heavy episode. We talked about Kendrick Lamar's new album. We talked about Drake suing Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, brother.
And then we talked about the first 4 episodes of Rhythm and Flow on Netflix with Isaiah 8Ball from Silent Podcast. We had such fun, and I even managed to sneak in talking about Wicked with them, and it was so much fun.
Listen, Mari, we've had people requesting us to finish up Cross over on Recap Kickback. So
yes, I did finish Cross, and I do have a lot to say. I was like,
yeah, so we might have to do that on the second part of Recap Kickback. I don't know. We've had calls for it. You're making me nervous about your reaction to Cross. I don't know. I haven't finished it yet. So
okay, go finish it.
Makes me nervous there.
Yeah, you can find Recap Kickback by going to recapkickback.com, or you can go to youtube.com/@recapkickback so you can watch the videos. The videos are always fun there. Chappelle has, of course, a whole bunch of other content over there as well, but that's just me and him. I just plug our stuff. And then at the Crime Scene Podcast, me and Sarah Carradine bring True Crime Tuesdays to you, where we you know what we do? We talk about documentaries, docuseries. We rate them. We've had Jason on so many times. He's a great guest. We actually just redropped your episode, our father episode, over the break.
That was an interesting. I mean, listen, y'all like to torment me with all the stuff you make me talk about. Our father was one of the cringiest and one of the toughest to get through.
So go to crimescenepod.com in order to subscribe. This is very important. If you think you are subscribed to us, please go resubscribe. There was an issue with our feed a few weeks back. So especially if you're subscribed on Spotify, just type in Crime Scene Podcast. You'll find us wherever you get your podcatcher, but just make sure you go resubscribe. That's very important because you might not have seen the last 4 episodes that we posted. Yeah, so an easier way to do that is going to Crime Scene, that's SEEN pod.com, and subscribing. Other than that, you can find me on Blue Sky at Mari Talks Too Much on Blue Sky. That's where I'm at. My Twitter is officially deactivated. We got up out of there real quickly. So just follow me over there. And that's it. Jason?
Awesome. Well, you can also find me on Blue Sky, Blueski as I call it.
Yeah.
You can find me there at JR33D. You can still find me on Twitter at JAYR1085. I still got it up and running. So you can find me there. As far as podcasting goes, you can find me here, of course, every week. I will never abandon you. I will be here every week. I can't say that about my normal co-host because she's not here, obviously. But you can also find me on The Good Pod with Marissa Garza talking about the show The Good Wife. Was a banger from 2009-10. We're in the second season of that show as a rewatch. You can also hear us talk about Elsbeth, which is in its current second season as those episodes come out. So as The Good Pod, and I'll be here, and I'll post wherever I am doing whatever it is I do. So these random podcasts I get asked to do. You can find all that stuff there. So until next week, we'll see if Asia decides to grace us with her presence. But until then, bye.
Bye.